Where do I save a file? So I also like to cover this because a lot of people, when we talk about OneDrive, they're like, what the hell is OneDrive? Like, I've never heard of it. I've heard of SharePoint. And in some cases, people say, I've only heard of OneDrive, never heard of SharePoint. And then you have this Teams thing that they came up with, and now we're up with 3 technologies. I like to display it this way. You have the personal stuff, that's OneDrive. That's what you use for your own content. Think of it as your personal drive. If you used network drives before, this is where nobody can see except you. This is your own data in the cloud. Uh, if you want to save your content on your desktop or in the cloud, you're going to have to use OneDrive because it backs everything up. It uses version control, and you can continue working from anywhere. Once we get to the sync client, you'll realize why OneDrive is important, because you can use it on your desktop at the same time in the cloud. We as the teams, we've covered this before if you attended the training sessions. If not, you can watch the YouTube videos. But Teams allows you to work as a group on content. In the back end, it uses a SharePoint site where you can use it to save files and content. And then you have SharePoint, which is on a large scale. If you have a lot of people you want to share content with, you create a SharePoint site, and then you can upload content and share with others. They all connect together. Why? Because all of them in the back end, they use SharePoint as the file repository. However, it's just the permissions are different. Your OneDrive account is technically a SharePoint account. It's just a private one to you. But when you create a SharePoint account or a site, then you can add people and they can all see the content. And if you leave the organization, that SharePoint site will exist. But if you leave the organization, your OneDrive account will be terminated.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Kamal, I'm so glad that you go over this, and you're right, we have gone over this a little bit, but it's always so important to, and I appreciate it, because we get questions about this all the time. It's like, well, what's the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint? And oftentimes we find that when we bring on a new customer, they have all of their company data in a OneDrive, and everyone has shared links to those folders. And that's surprisingly common. And it's not their fault, because it does get a little complicated. It gets a little complicated, all the tools and cloud storage. So understanding OneDrive is me, one, SharePoint is everyone, share. And thanks for reviewing that again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm someone who used Google products as well. And I will say that if you used Google products before, you might have been used to Drive, right? And yes, OneDrive is the equivalent, and Drive did a better job, maybe Google Drive, in sharing with others, but that was the only option, right? With now, I think they have Spaces or something like that. But with Microsoft 365, SharePoint has already existed for like forever, I feel like. So that's when you need to work with others and other people and collaborate. You need to use SharePoint. If it's just your personal content, then use OneDrive. Also, when you think of Microsoft Teams, when you upload content, you don't want to create a lot of folders. You know, the way Teams should operate is you create a channel and you add content in that channel, and that's it. You don't want to create a lot of folders. OneDrive, you can have that structure, the deep structure of creating as many folders as you want, because it's your content. You know where it's located, you know what you're doing with it. So you can manage it the way you want, just like if you are in your C drive, in your documents folder. And we'll get more into that once I show you the sync client and how it works, and it will make more sense.